Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
You know, we mentioned that a little bit, but 25 years ago has been so long. I think you just got to prepare and you got to understand how important this game is for the Citadel and us, and we've got to go out there and be mentally strong.
Defensively, totally different story. These guys are they're a bunch of veterans. They're top 20 in the country in 5 different categories defensively. They just went to Notre Dame on Notre Dame senior day and held them to 282 yards.
Come on, Dabo. Come on, Dabo.
They got a great
You keep talking like that, you're going to be confused as Vince Dooley. You're exactly right. Trying to make Wake Forest sound like a threat tomorrow in death. I'm going to lay the 29. You know, I know Clemson's kind of underachieved here a little bit when it's come to beating the spread. Didn't beat the spread against Syracuse. I think they did end up beating the spread against NC State, right? I think they did. We had a discussion about that on the show the week after that game. But by and large, they've been a little bit close with the line. But I think tomorrow, last home game for the seniors and those juniors who will be leaving, last time running down the hill, 80,000 plus. It's like a coronation for the Clemson football team as they head towards, they hope, an ACC championship. They're going to lay it out there tomorrow. They're going to try. And keep in mind the similarities so far between the 2015 season for Clemson and the 1981 season for Clemson. And I guess the one similarity is, well, 2, they were both 10-0 at one point, and both seasons began with Wofford. And in 1981, of course, Clemson put, 82 points on the board against Wake? I'm not suspecting they'll do that tomorrow, but I think they will handle their business and they'll handle it in an appropriate way and not leave this one in any sort of doubt going into the fourth quarter. Meantime, South Carolina at home against the Citadel. Could be a different story. I flash back to 1990. I was at Sumter Touchdown Club today, speaking this morning, and a lot of I'm not going to say a lot, but a few members are Citadel fans, and they're feeling pretty salty about their chance tomorrow to come into Williams-Brice Stadium, catch a USC football team that's down and maybe out and maybe not focused, and snatch one from them. So we shall see. We shall see. Welcome into the program, Phil Kornbluth, Professor Tom Hayes, the state man Graham Pope. Friday night from downtown Columbia, Open Mind Friday. And your calls, hear what's on your mind about this weekend of football and, of course, basketball. USC just tipping off down in the Virgin Islands this afternoon against DePaul. And the Gamecocks trying to go to 3-0. I went up to Greenville last night, watched the Tigers go to 3-0. They kind of sleptwalked a little bit through the first half against Texas Southern. Brad Brownell told his team at halftime, throw the damn ball inside. And you know what? They listened. Their first 15 baskets of the second half were either layups or dunks. So they listened to their coach, and they won. Amazing how that works.
Now back to Sports Talk, South Carolina's most listened to sports talk show for more than 30 years.
Okay, busy Friday night for you here on Sports Talk as we head into another sporting weekend with high school football tonight. Everybody's in the playoffs now. Thank goodness we dragged the 4A boys into playoff mode tonight. 3A, 2A, 1As will continue with their playoffs tonight. Don't forget the high school scoreboard shows beginning at 10 tonight, 10, 10:30, and 11. We give you more scores in 5 minutes than other shows give you in 2 hours. That's what we do on the high school scoreboard show. We give you scores, and we'll have them all for you beginning at 10, then 10:30, and then 11 o'clock. We've got USC basketball. The Gamecocks taking on DePaul tonight. They are in the Virgin Islands in the Paradise Jam, and they're just about to get underway, taking on DePaul tonight. DePaul features a lineup made up almost exclusively of Chicagoans. 4 of their starters are from Chicago. Their 5th starter is from Greece. And they are just getting underway very early. USC has taken a 3-2 lead. We'll keep you up to date as to the progress of that one. The winner will play Hofstra tomorrow because Hofstra defeated Florida State today in the first game of
and
Paradise
of course,
Jam.
Dave Lato, who was at Virginia at one time and has been with Frank Haith, I think, at Miami and Missouri. This is his second stint. Last time he was at DePaul, they were in Conference USA.
Mm-hmm.
This time they're in the Big East.
Well, he's doing something that his predecessor tried to do, and that is win the recruiting battles in the city of Chicago. As I mentioned, his lineup is dominated by Chicago natives. How good they are, remains to be seen. But DePaul certainly has a Chicago flavor in their lineup tonight against the Gamecocks. We'll have the Governors here at the bottom of the hour for the weekly football. We'll give you our picks as well for this week. And as we look back on last week's selections, it was not a particularly good week across the board. 6-4 was the best anybody could do. Graham and Matt, the newsman, both went to 6-4.
Matt trying to run away with it, didn't he?
Matt is he's got a 5-game lead, 65-55. Steakman and Kev Cohen would be second, 60-50. K-Mac and Pro, you two are tied for next, 56-54. I had a terrible week, 3-7. You had a terrible week, 3-7. I'm 54-56. It's still anybody's ball game, still very tight, and we have to go through the bowl season. We have to go through the national championship run as well. So many, many more games to be picked. This thing could go any way. And that's what I'm hoping for, that it'll eventually swing back my way. What else we have for you tonight? We'll catch up with David Shelton, get his preview on some of the top high school games of the night. And the full Monty on NASCAR. It is championship weekend. Can you believe it? The long NASCAR season that started in mid-February is ready to conclude Sunday in Homestead. And it's down to 4 guys, of course. There are 4 competitors for the championship: Gordon, Harvick, Truex, and Kyle Busch. And I love this format. I mean, I love the fact that you got to watch these 4 guys in the race. You got to watch the race leader. You got to watch some of the blocking going on with teammates of these guys, even though Martin Truex Jr. has no teammates. The other ones do, but he's got a lot of friends who might step out and help him a little bit. So should be a very fascinating race on Sunday for the championship of NASCAR. Qualifying is just getting underway, and the early leader in qualifying is Kevin Harvick. Early pace being set at 177.848. We'll keep you up to date on that as well. And we got a couple of notes to pass along to you, and we'll do recruiting as well. And we'll take your phone calls, 800-956-7266. Anybody smelling a Clemson blowout of Wake Forest tomorrow? Wake Forest is a very limited team offensively. As Dabo said in the opening, they've got a pretty good defense, and they did go up to Notre Dame and defensively do a good job. They're only allowing 23 points a game and 111 rushing yards per game. They are giving up 228 passing yards per game, but they're only scoring 17 points per game. I foresee a game where Clemson scores early, as is their want, like they did at Syracuse, second, third place. If you're in Death Valley, you might want to be paying attention early, especially if Clemson gets the football first. Look for them to try to strike quickly. They'll probably run a couple of short plays, a couple of runs, maybe a couple of short passes, then try and strike deep to get on the board quickly and turn everything in their favor. That's kind of how they like to operate. And why not? Why shouldn't they do that? I think that's how they'll go about their business tomorrow against Wake Forest. And then South Carolina Citadel, that's a noon kickoff in Columbia. I imagine the crowd will be pretty light. 12 o'clock kickoff, FCS opponent. Gamecocks struggling. And, Gamecock fans, for the most part, I think are just ready for this season to be over. They just want it over. They just want the new coach hired, and they want to turn the page and get back into recruiting and try and salvage this recruiting class, try and turn around the perception of the program and hope that the program hasn't slipped so far that it's going to take years with an S to get back to where they were just a couple of years ago.
I think it's a pattern of the SEC right now. We've seen Auburn fall, rise, and now fall again. Florida dropped to the pits. Nobody picked them to win the East this year. Where are they? I mean, it's interesting how we may be seeing a change, except for those schools like Alabama, who every year seems to have enough talent to rebound. Others are going to be up and down. I don't think we saw LSU struggling as they have, and we didn't see Arkansas coming. We knew they were good, but now they are dangerous. I don't think anybody, even Alabama, wants to play Arkansas at this point.
Yeah, they're a hot team right now, and I think I will pick them to win their game this weekend at home against Mississippi State. I've ridden Mississippi State about as far as I care to ride them. I tell you who else I'm getting off of. I'm tired of No, I am going to go with Ole Miss against LSU, which could be a death blow. Yeah, I'm not getting off Chad Kelly's back. He's still playing at a very high level. And the story today out of Baton Rouge by the same writer who had the original story the other day about Les Miles. The story was updated today by him as he talked to some people. Scott, I want to pronounce it Rabelaus. Anyway, he writes for the Baton Rouge Advocate, and he said that more sources have confirmed his previous report that Les Miles is coaching for his job. The writer writes that there are three scenarios. If LSU wins out against Ole Miss and Texas A&M, Miles keeps his job. If they lose both, there is, quote, little chance, end quote, he would be allowed to return. And if it's a split, it could go either way, depending on how the games play out. Again, Miles has a $15 million buyout, but he says that is not a deal breaker. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I'm still trying to figure out, is this truthfulness or a concerted effort to stymie LSU's recruiting and actually destroy the guy from building his team back up? I mean, all this kind of talk only makes the hey, coach, I hear you're not coming back. What's going on? I just don't. To me, it's irresponsible journalism, in my opinion.
Oh, you're blaming the reporter?
Huh?
You're not blaming the reporter.
Well, I blame who either the messenger is or whatever. Or
you can't blame the reporter now. He's got his sources who are obviously boosters.
But that's my point.
LSU, big boosters who are powerful people who are telling him this.
But guess what? Those boosters may have an agenda, and I'll tell you to write something, and it may not be true.
Well, I mean, that's the risk the writer is taking here, but you have to. He's a long time. This guy's been around LSU football a long time. This is not some Johnny come lately just off the internet.
Oh, well, we know that. But then again, some of those oldsters just as complicit in some agendas than anybody else.
Well, I would take him for his word here, and I would take his information as being serious. And it sounds to me like there was indeed a movement afoot to get Les Miles out of Baton Rouge. Back in a moment. All right, Gamecocks up 12-5, 14:32 to play. First half, DePaul's turned it over 4 times in the last 4 minutes. And high man for USC right now, Cassius, and also Notice, each with 4 points, both teams shooting 40%. And DePaul with 5 turnovers to USC's 1. The Gamecocks 2 of 3 behind the arc and 2 of 4 from the line. I mentioned Clemson last night, a winner in its game against Texas Southern. Let you hear from Brad Brownell tonight as well. The Tigers now 3-0, and they are on their way to Las Vegas. So you got the USC women going to California, then to Hawaii. The USC men in the Virgin Islands. The Clemson men in Las Vegas. We obviously picked the wrong route in life. Basketball coach, basketball player, that would have been the way to go. No doubt about it.
Okay, you can have that. I can go to Vegas. I can go to Virgin Islands by way of TV, right? But we don't have
we don't
CBS
get that
Sports
particular
Network.
network
I know.
in here. No.
Yeah.
By the way, a quick note on the USC job search tied in with recruiting. Learned today that Ray Tanner has been calling USC commitments. Don't know if he's reached them all. Know he's reached some, 2 in particular that I know for a fact, but told that he's in the process or has been calling USC recruits. Told one of them, and he talked to him on Tuesday, gave him about a 3-week timeline before the hiring of the coach, which would fall in line with the week right after the championship games.
And the week before the dead period.
So I think he's waiting on Houston, Tom Herman to finish up if they make it to the championship game and then make his move and make the announcement and get it done. That's what it appears to me to be at this particular time. All right, jump to the phones here on a Friday night, and it's Slick in 96. Hey, Slick.
Tell you something. I don't know if you heard much feedback on this or not, but our Gamecock football team had one of the most beautiful helmets in all of college football. Somebody could be surfing the channels on Saturday afternoon, and they wouldn't have to wait to hear an announcer say who's playing. They'd automatically see that beautiful Gamecock helmet with the logo on the side. Now, the helmets they wore last week, I couldn't make out what they were. So I read the state paper, and it's the butt end. It's the tail feathers of the Gamecock. Now, if I was recruiting against Carolina, I'd say, listen, you want to be playing for a team that puts the butt end of their mascot on the helmet? I'll hang up and see what y'all get on that.
They are the tail feathers. Maybe that's the most beautiful part of the bird. Maybe that's where the most beautiful feathers are created. Hey, they're not going to wear those helmets anymore, at least not in the immediate future. You don't have to worry about that. That was a one-time gig. Maybe if they had one in them, they might wear them again, but they've been shelved, and I don't think you'll see them against Clemson.
I don't think really recruits care about the helmets as much as they care who they're going to play for, who's wearing, whose head is under that helmet.
Exactly right. Exactly right. But I kind of, it was kind of a neat little change. Schools are doing that all over the country as their uniform providers are urging them to try different things. Mm-hmm. We'll be right back. Okay, it's that time of the week when we put aside all our anger and our hostilities and get into the football filibuster with two of South Carolina's greatest still living governors, which, of course, if you included all governors, it might knock them down the list a little bit. But we're talking about still breathing governors, Jim Hodges and David Beasley. Governor Beasley, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good, and I am breathing and living, and I think Jim is too.
Yep. We're glad to hear him breathing on the line. But he's not breathing down your neck. That's the problem. You've opened up an 8-game lead. Governor Hodges, where are you?
I'm barely breathing. Barely breathing. I'm in Washington tonight, and obviously I'm performing like Washington does every year
No.
in football filibuster. I've been terrible.
I think that
terrible.
I think this has been a representation of the two teams that you stand for. You know, Governor Beasley being Clemson, Governor Hodges being the Gamecocks. This could be a precursor of what's going to happen next weekend in Columbia.
It might well be. The way things are going for the Gamecocks, it certainly looks that way.
Yep. Well, last week, Governor Beasley, 6-4, makes you 58-52. I don't think you've ever been over 500 this late in the competition. How do you feel?
I'm feeling good, but we got some more to go, and I know old Governor Hodges, you got to watch it now. He'll come up with something on the rear on you.
No doubt. He'll start to call on some of his high government friends to help him out and get some advice. He's 4-6, 50-60, 10 games under 500. Governor Hodges, what is your strategy now moving forward?
Well, I think it's called desperation. I mean, that's my strategy. So I'm gonna pick most of the games opposite of David tonight. There may be a few if we keep it the same. I've got to pick 4 games up tonight.
Well, you
pick 4 up the next week.
You tried that last week and you still ended up a loser.
Yeah, sure did. But that doesn't mean I won't try it again.
Well, if you look at tradition, the chances are I'm going to have a 2-8 night one night.
Now, Governor Beasley, it is not like you to be falsely humble.
Oh, you got that right. I'm just trying to be falsely humble.
All right, well, let's get at it. We begin with a big one in the Big Ten. Michigan State at Ohio State. Ohio State favored by 13.5. Governor Hodges, you shall lead us.
I think 13.5 is too many points for a rivalry game. Michigan State.
Okay, Governor Beasley.
I think Governor Hodges is right. I'm with him.
Here we go, the old rope-a-dope. Of course, there'll be time for amendments here at the end of the competition. Texas A&M at Vanderbilt, and Vandy getting 7 at home. Governor Hodges.
Oh, I will take A&M on this one. 7 points to Vandy just has trouble scoring, so I think I'll take A&M.
Could be a sucker bet because A&M with that Vandy with the way their defense is playing, coming off a nice win last week at home. What do you think, Governor Beasley?
I'm with Governor Hodges. I think this could be a 2-touchdown game, even though it's at Vandy and they got a little bit of momentum. But I'm thinking Texas A&M.
Texas A&M. Okay. Tennessee at Missouri. Governor Hodges. Missouri is getting 8.5 at home.
Yeah, the coach has announced he's leaving at the end of the season. I think 8.5 at home. There'll be a little emotion in this one. I'll take Missouri.
Okay, and the points, Governor Beasley.
I'm going with Tennessee on this one. I think 8.5 is not enough points. This could be 10 or more points on this game.
Vols it is. Mississippi State at Red Hot Arkansas. Arkansas favored by 3.5. Governor Hodges.
Oh, I'm going to take Arkansas. They're playing really well, and they've got momentum at home, so I'll take them.
Okay, Governor Beasley.
I was with Senator Bozeman from Arkansas the other day. I said, how them boys doing?
I'm sorry, Governor Beasley, we lost you there for a second.
Arkansas, 100%.
Arkansas. Okay, you were talking to a governor from Arkansas, did you say?
No, the senator from Arkansas, John Bozeman. He was a big player there back in the years, and he and I were just having a good time. He said they're strong, they're on a roll. So I'm going with my senator.
Okay, very good. Let's go to LSU at Ole Miss, and Ole Miss at home favored by 4. Governor Hodges.
Ole Miss is. I mean, LSU is really struggling right now. I'm going to take Ole Miss in this one. I think they may beat them by a touchdown.
Rumblings about Les Miles' future.
Yeah,
down in Baton Rouge. Yeah, Governor Beasley, what do you think?
I tell you, Jim might be right on this one, but I'm gonna go with LSU. I just got this feeling they might get their act together in just enough time, and they might pull it out.
Okay, now Governor Beasley, you shall lead us, and we'll jump to the ACC with Duke at Virginia. Virginia favored by 2.5.
Well, the tough part is every time I pick Duke this year, I've gotten my tail cut, and I'm gonna pick it one more time.
Yeah, I'm like you. I'm about ready to get off that bandwagon the way they've played the last 3 games. How about you, Governor Hodges?
It's terrible.
Yeah, I think I'll get off the bandwagon tonight. I think I'll take Virginia. They're pretty bad too, but Duke just looks awful. So I'll take Virginia.
Okay, Syracuse at NC State. Wolfpack laying 17. Governor Beasley.
That's too many points. And Syracuse, I mean, I know they had a bad start with Clemson. You remember your little prediction of 28 points in the first few minutes of the game. And I was sitting there when it was 14-0. I said, you might be right. Boy, did it switch over quickly. I think they got some confidence. And I think Syracuse is going to be playing better for the rest of the season. Syracuse it is.
Syracuse, Governor Hodges.
I'm going to take NC State on this one. They're playing at home. They're not a bad team, and I got to pick. I got to pick one that's a little bit of an upset somewhere. So I think I'll take those. I'll take NC State, and I believe they'll cover.
All right, Georgia Tech at Miami. Governor Beasley, the Hurricanes are getting a point at home.
This is another one that bothers me. I'm going to try the home field advantage on this. Miami.
Governor Hodges.
I'll take the other side of that. I'll take Tech.
Yeah, both of these teams are so hard to figure out, really, all season long. They drive you nuts. North Carolina at Virginia Tech. Tech getting 6.5 at home, Governor Beasley.
Oh, my goodness. Is that enough? That's hard to say. But I will give the home field advantage with Tech, even though I would normally think it'd be a 2-touchdown game. Virginia Tech.
Governor Hodges?
I saw a buddy of mine earlier today that played line for UNC a few years back, and he said pick UNC. They're playing mighty well. I'm going to take them.
Yeah, better ride them while they're hot. Wake Forest at Clemson. Tigers favored by 29. Too much or just enough, Governor Beasley?
Oh, God, that's a lot of points. Syracuse so bad last week, but I will go with the Tigers and because they want to keep that national perspective right now.
Yeah, they want to beat somebody bad, I think. I mean, really bad.
Wake Forest Deacon Demons is a good opportunity.
Well, they might be thinking about next week, but they might start this week and carry it over to next week, Governor Hodges.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Clemson is mighty good, but I've got to think that if there's a week they're going to be a little bit down, it'll be this week, and 29 points is a heck of a lot. So I'm going to take Wake.
You want Wake Forest, a team that once gave up 82 points to Clemson.
Well, that's right. That's right. But this is a week before the Carolina game, so I'm going to think that they'll hold them to 28 points. How about that?
I think that was during your administration, wasn't it? 1981.
I think every game Wake gave up 82 back in that time.
All right, it's amendment time here. Amendment time, and there'll be no vetoing. Governor Hodges, anything you want to change?
Well, tell me how many we have different right now. What are the ones we have different?
I'll give you the ones you got the same. You got Michigan State, Texas A&M, Arkansas. Those are the ones that are identical.
Okay, so Michigan State, Texas A&M, and Arkansas. I will take the other side of the A&M game, so I'll take Vanderbilt.
Okay.
And then I think that's it.
That's it. You're going to stick with the other two, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, Governor Beasley, you?
I know what my head tells me to do, but I will stick with my heart for the rest of them. I'm going to stay where I am.
Okay, guys. We thank you as always, Governor Beasley, Governor Hodges. There you have the football filibuster for tonight. Is Governor Hodges going to make a run here, or is he just going to sink slowly into the West? We shall see. Back in a moment with our professional help.
Time to put your money where your mouth is. Put them in the field and let them fight it out. He's a hustler. If you don't got eggs, you won't be getting no sticks. And if you don't got money, you won't super honey. If you don't got cash, you won't be getting no. He's a gambler. Bet the house on the young and then we got paid.
Show them the next item up for bid.
Okay, here on a Friday night, it's where we go to get professional help when it comes to picking games. We welcome in Lee Sterling from ParamountSports.com, coming off a 1 and 2 week last week. Good evening, Lee. How are you?
I'm doing well. Looking forward to a big week in college football with 6 games with top 25 teams matched up against each other. So kind of what we've been waiting for.
Yeah, and as we head, this weekend you got a few good matchups, but you got a lot of
dogs.
Yeah, a lot of dog matchups, a lot of one-sided matchups, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and next week is rivalry week, so fun time of year. We watch football now. We act like we're interested and are interested in helping out for Thanksgiving, and then as soon as the meal's served, we eat, watch football, and then it's rivalry week. So I think I might be able to spend a good 24 hours with my wife.
There you go. Well, plan it out, make her happy, and she'll be fine. All right, here we go. Let's begin with North Carolina, 6-point favorite against Virginia Tech.
Yeah, North Carolina, believe it or not, has the better defense with Gene Chizik this year than Bud Foster's Virginia Tech did. And can't remember the last time I've said that. He's done a really good job with this team. They're real strong in the red zone. Their defense allowing just 18.8 points per game. Virginia Tech allowing over 24 points per game. Virginia Tech is just not a running team this year, averaging less than 4 yards per carry. So they're going to have to throw, but they're going to have to throw into the teeth of number 4 pass defense in the country. This North Carolina pass D allowing just 8 touchdowns on the season and only 176 yards passing per game. Hey, this Frank Beamer farewell tour is great. He's everything that college football should stand for, but it's going to hit a road bump this weekend here. North Carolina, they continue on this roll here, 38-24.
What do you foresee the line for the Clemson-North Carolina ACC championship game starting out at?
I think Clemson's going to be probably 7 to 8 point favorite.
Okay. Mississippi and Ole Miss. Ole Miss favored by 4. And what are you making of the reports coming out of Baton Rouge about Les Miles?
I think it's crazy. I mean, to let a guy like this possibly go. The figure I'm hearing, did you hear about his buyout figure?
Yeah, $15 million.
Yeah, I'm hearing between 12 and 15 million. Unless you got Jimbo Fisher lined up, I think it's crazy. He's still one of the top 10 coaches in college football. So I think this will probably factor into the game. I know everyone wants an offense filled with imagination, but you're not going to find many teams that play defense over the course of the years like they have. But this year, they have not been strong. In fact, they've given up at least 20 points in 8 straight games. Ole Miss coming off the bye, I think it helps them game plan. They've allowed only 5 rushing touchdowns here. And LSU on an 0-5 against the spread run as a road underdog. I'm going to say after Saturday, it's going to be 0-6 as a road dog.
Ooh.
I like Ole Miss here, 31-20.
Okay. How about Clemson laying 29 at home against Wake Forest?
Well, Wake Forest off a real physical game against Notre Dame. Not a good setup for them. The Demon Deacons, no big play weapons or capability. Red zone problems over and over again, week after week. Tigers, 27-18 here as a home favorite. I think they're going to regain their focus here, headed down the backstretch of the schedule. I like Clemson here. I think they win and cover, 44-10.
Has Clemson looked like a number 1 team to you?
Until last week, but it's 1 week. I think they deservedly so need to be and should be the number 1 ranked team. Now, if they have 2 bad weeks, and Ohio State comes out and thrashes Michigan State and wins by 3 or 4 touchdowns, they'll probably drop down to number 2.
All right, and your game of the week, Arkansas, Mississippi State.
Yeah, this should be a real good matchup here. Mississippi State didn't quite match up with Alabama. Arkansas, they're on a roll. First 5 callers get it for free. 800-400-9741. And how about this, guys? We had our NFL Game of the Year last week. The Washington Redskins were +1. They won 47-14. Never had it work out this way. My college football Game of the Year goes this Saturday. It's already up and available. We've won 12 of the last 13 college football games of the year. If you'd like to get it, go online right now, ParamountSports.com, or call 800-400-9741.
All right, my friend, thank you, and we will get with you next week. I know we got to do it before Thanksgiving. We'll get that set up with you and get your thoughts about Rivalry Week here on Sports Talk, and we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Sports Talk presented by South Carolina soybean farmers and their checkoff. Learn more at scsoybean.org. Pork, powered by soy. Recruiting, powered by corn. USC Athletics Director Ray Tanner recruiting members of the USC football commitment class. He's calling them, urging them to be patient. He told offensive lineman Lloyd Cushenberry in a conversation Tuesday that in about 3 weeks, he'll have a decision on the new coach. And he said that he hopes that Cushenberry will stick with them, but keep his options open, make the best decision for him. Cushenberry remains committed to USC. He's got a good relationship with the coaches, like his recruiter, Joe Robinson. He was supposed to visit Mississippi State last weekend. That's been rescheduled for next weekend. He plans an official with USC. He's also looking at Memphis and Louisiana Tech. Also telling us that he's talked to Ray Tanner is the quarterback, Brandon McElwain. And, of course, that's the guy they got to keep. By the way, speaking of McElwain, he had planned to take his official to USC next weekend for the Clemson game, but he's got family coming in for the holidays. That will prevent him from traveling. His season is over. At this point, he'll take his official visit in December because he's planning to enroll in January if he gets final approval from his school district. Clemson linebacker commitment Trey Lamar makes his official with the Tigers this weekend. He was also in for the Florida State game. He is 100% committed to the Tigers, though others are still recruiting him. Alabama, Auburn, and Florida are still active. He doesn't plan any other officials, but if he does take some, those three would get them. Lower Richland, Shrine Bowl receiver Larry Collins Jr. was at USC, Florida. Gamecocks are still recruiting him. Also planning to go to Wake Forest for the Duke game, November 28th. He also has an official visit set with Wake Forest for January 22nd. He said the Demon Deacons are showing him the most interest right now. He's also getting interest from North Carolina. He plans to announce a commitment during the week of the Shrine Bowl. Some other official visits of note this weekend. I mentioned Trey Lamar to Clemson, also receiver Brian Edwards to Clemson, defensive lineman Dexter Lawrence and defensive back Miles Dorn, Clemson targets to Ohio State, receiver Dre Massey, USC target to Oklahoma, defensive lineman Rashawn Gary, Clemson target to Ole Miss, and running back C.J. Freeman and receiver J.J. Givens, USC commitments to Wisconsin. Clemson baseball signees, outfielder Seth Beer, infielder Grayson Bird, left-hander Matthew Clark, infielder Logan Davidson, right-hander Owen Griffith, infielder Justin Hawkins, left-hander Jacob Hennessy, right-hander Blake Holliday, infielder Brock Howard, left-hander Ryan Huggins, infielder Carter Keyboom, right-hander Travis Marr, right-hander Ryan Miller, and catcher Kyle Wilkie. Clemson announcing their signees today by Coach Monty Lee. Top of the hour break. We'll be back.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
And we're back, Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, here on a Friday night. Good to have you with us. Phil Kornbluth, Professor Tom Hayes, Estate Man, Graham Pope. Coming up, David Shelton. In just a few minutes, we'll break down high school football for you tonight. The full Monty on NASCAR at the bottom of the hour. And we've got time for some phone calls, too, 800-956-7266, and also some email that we'll get to as well. Talkback@sportstalksc.com. On Twitter, make sure you follow us so you can keep up with our coverage 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Sports Talk never sleeps. And our Twitter handle is @SportsTalkSC. The website is sportstalksc.com. And on Facebook, Sports Talk Radio Network. I want to remind you, insects and diseases can be moved hundreds of miles in firewood and threaten our forests, favorite campsites, neighborhoods, state and national parks. Help protect the trees you love by purchasing firewood at or near where you burn it. For more information, visit don'tmovefirewood.org. Let's update a few things for you. Basketball, South Carolina at the half leads DePaul 37-28. The Gamecocks hit 5 of their last 6 shots in the half to build the 9-point cushion. They shoot 43% in the half. They go 10 of 17 from the line, 3 of 7 from behind the arc. They win the rebounding battle in the first half, 21-12, 12 points in the paint, and 7 second chance points, 0 for DePaul. The Gamecocks had 7 offensive rebounds of their 21. 7 were offensive. Leading the way is Cautious with 14 points. He also has 3 rebounds. Notice has 11 points and 1 assist. And nobody else is really breaking out scoring-wise. Thornwell, he's got 6 and 5 rebounds and 2 assists. Thornwell, he doesn't have to score a lot to impact the game because he'll get rebounds and he'll hand out some assists. So that's the breakdown for the Gamecocks. They're up 37-28 at the half, seeking to go 3-0 on the young season. They're playing in the Paradise Jam tournament, which is in the Virgin Islands, St. Thomas. They'll play Hofstra tomorrow. Hofstra upset Florida State today in the first game of the tournament. So the Gamecocks, if they can hang on and win, I don't know much about Hofstra at this point. If the Gamecocks can hang on and win, you got to like your chances. Maybe win in round 2 as well. Georgetown beat Wisconsin today, 71-61. That game just finished up a little while ago. And let's see if we have any other finals in from the from this afternoon, as college basketball now becomes spread out all over the planet.
Yeah,
with
Butler,
the holiday tournaments.
I think Butler won against I can't remember who it is.
Well, Hofstra, as I mentioned, beat Florida State 82-77. Ole Miss over Towson 76-60. And Texas Tech beat Mississippi State 74-72.
Tubby.
These guys, they never sleep. Check them out on the web at sportstalksc.com. Now, more of Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network.
Big night of high school football all across the state of South Carolina. And it's time for the High School Football Report, a service of Farm Bureau Insurance. With new auto insurance rates from Farm Bureau, you could be saving a whole lot of money. Even if you've received a quote before, rates are now more competitive than ever. Get a free quote today from your local Farm Bureau insurance agent. We welcome in David Shelton of the High School Sports Report and the Charleston Post and Courier. We also welcome in the 4A teams to the high school playoffs tonight as they join in with the 3A, 2A, and 1A teams who started their playoffs last week. Let's talk about the 4A guys first, and some news out of Spartanburg, David. They've got a little injury situation going on, and some of their key players will not be in action tonight.
Well, fortunately, it's a first-round game, and they're the number the number 2 seed, number 1 seed, whatever it is. I can't remember. It all runs together. But they're not going to need their full arsenal of players. Now, granted, it is high school football, and crazy things happen, but assuming those guys can return, deeper into the playoffs, that will certainly give them a better chance to win. But a not full strength Spartanburg team will not win a state championship. They're going to have all their horses available once they get into this, past tonight's round. Yeah, one of the guys out is Tavian Feaster, the star running back, and they are facing a South Florence team that does have a strong offense. Yeah, they score a lot of points, or they have. They've also had games where they haven't scored very well. They've also had a quarterback injury, but they've been able to weather that pretty well. And their guy may be back now. I'm not sure, but I know he hadn't played the last 2 weeks. They'll put some points on the board. I don't think they're going to be able to slow down Spartanburg. I would think Spartanburg will probably win the game by at least 2 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. What do you see in the 4A ranks, Division I and Division II? What do you see as maybe the most intriguing first-round matchups, if there are any? Yeah, there's 3 games that are kind of circled on the schedule. I think the Burns-Gaffney game. I think Burns is a better team, but anytime Burns and Gaffney get together, anything could happen in a game like that. Down here in the Charleston area, Boiling Springs coming from Spartanburg to play Ashley Ridge. 2 really good offensive teams. Boiling Springs comes in 6-5, but they beat Spartanburg, and they lost close games to Northwestern and to Burns. So they're a really good 6-5 team, and if Ashley Ridge doesn't play well, they'll lose. And then over at Conway, I think with the injury situation there, where they lost Brian Edwards, they're playing a Westwood team that's big and football very well. That looks like that's a pretty good matchup in Division II, and those are both 7-10 matchups. But it's like I said on Bobby Hart's show today. Anytime a 10 beats a 7 or a 9 beats a 8, I don't really see that as an upset. It is on the seedings, but that just means that 2 teams were pretty close in talent and in their records, and it's not really a huge upset when a 3 beats 14 beats a 3, or a 1 loses to a 16. Those are upsets. These middle bracket games are really kind of toss-ups. I was in Sumter this morning, and a lot of Sumter High folks there, talking with them. They love their team. They love Coach Barnes. They think he's doing a terrific job. What they're really hoping, of course, is they beat White Knoll tonight, and the ones I talked to would love to see Burns beat Gaffney, and then I think for the first time ever, Burns would play at Sumter. Yeah, I can't. That is interesting because I can't remember them ever playing, and this Sumter team's good enough to be in the finals. I mean, some people think White Knoll may upset them tonight, and that very well could happen. But when I looked at the brackets, I kind of saw a path where Sumter could make the finals if they're playing at their peak performance level as they did during a stretch during the season. I think they can win tonight. I think they can beat Burns, especially being at home. And then, if brackets broke down like you expected, they'd have to go to Dutch Fork, and I certainly think they could win that game. All right, now 3A, 2A, 1A, we're into round 2, so the matchups get a little bit dicier across the board, maybe a little more competitive. And what do you see in 3A that really catches your eye? I mean, I see
Well, do you think Union County's got anything for Greer? This is the old Jacket Bowl getting fired back up again. Do you think they've got anything, Union County, for the Greer team that's undefeated?
Yeah, I think they've got something for them, and you know, this is a tricky game because Greer has been really good in the recent years and kind of suffered playoff letdowns. Yeah, they got to come play. I mean, they're going to have to play well to beat Union County. I look for that game to have some scoring. I look for it to be a fairly offensive type game, and another one that I think is going to have some offensive run at Chapin. Both those teams spread it, throw it around, and run it around and do everything on the offensive side of the ball. So I look for that one to probably have some points, and you know, probably the same situation in the lower state where Hilton Head and Myrtle Beach play. Again, two teams that really have a great offensive system, that have very good skill people. You might see a few games tonight that are in the 40s, and maybe even some that go more than 4 quarters.
All right, now 2A Division I, good games across the board, including Dillon and Timberland. And here's Dillon once again in the way of Timberland, or maybe you look at it the other way around. And, of course, Dillon's had no trouble dispatching Timberland or anybody else last 3 years in the playoffs. What about this time around?
Well, I think Dillon is certainly the favorite team because they're a very talented team, and Jackie Hayes has said it's the best team he's had, which is kind of scary considering some of the teams they've had. But you know what? I thought about this game. I'm not picking an upset, but Dillon hasn't been pushed. Dillon hasn't been tested all year at all. Their starters don't have to play 4 quarters, and if Timberland can somehow get this game into the 4th quarter, where it's a 1-score game and Dillon has to execute or has to get a stop, we'll see how they respond. Now, granted, in the past they have responded very well. I think 33 times in a row, but their schedule has been really light. It's not their fault. They just beat the crap out of everybody, and I don't know that they're going to do that to Timberland tonight. Timberland's got enough athleticism and enough weapons to keep this game within working margin. Now, whether or not they do, we'll see. But I expect Dillon to win, but I'd like to see how Dillon responds. And I'm sure Dillon, you know, Jackie Hayes may want that. He may want his team to get tested because, I mean, the last 2 games, I think they won 104-0. That's not getting tested very much.
All right, let's jump to 1A Division I. McBee, which at one point in the season was annihilating everybody. Then they took 1 loss, I believe.
They lost to Lamar.
Yep. And they're playing at Christ Church. This is a matchup of a 2 and a 3, and Christ Church defending state champion. But McBee, they could give, I mean, just based on what we've seen from McBee and that explosive offense, they could give the Cavaliers a bit of a battle tonight.
Oh, without a doubt. I think it would not shock me if McBee won this game. Christ Church has lost a couple games this year, so they're not invincible. McBee's had that one bump in the road right at the end of the regular season. They didn't look great last week beating St. Joe's. I thought they would beat them pretty easily, and it was, you know, I think it was 20-0. So they weren't as powerful as I thought. So if they've shaken off that, I mean, they better bring their A game tonight because, you know, Christ Church is still Christ Church. These kids and this coaching staff has been here, done that 4 years in a row. You got to come play. You're going to have to beat them, and I think McBee can. But I think it's going to be a great game. And in the lower state, I think the Allendale, Fairfax, and Calhoun County, I think that's going to be one heck of a football game. Calhoun County, Bill Kimmery's coaching that team. They've got a chance to win it all. But I think those 2 teams right there are serious contenders for a state title.
All right, and please tell me that Latta and Bamberg Earhart's going to be one heck of a football game.
You know, I think right now, as we speak, it's probably very close as they warm up. And then I fear that, you know.
Come on.
Latta can score a little bit. Bamberg's really good, though. Yeah. You know, it would be a huge upset. And certainly if you were there on the sidelines with bringing your strength and all that other stuff you bring, which we can't talk about on the radio, I think Latta would have a shot. But Bamberg's a state favorite. I mean, somebody's going to have to beat them to win the state title.
I could go back being the Latta mascot that I was as a child, and that might elevate their emotions to a high level. Interesting matchup because, you know, Latta used to be the Red Raiders for many, many decades. Bamberg Earhart still is the Red Raiders. It would have been Red Raiders versus Red Raiders back in the day. Still Vikings against Red Raiders. Go Latta. Once again, thanks to David Shelton for being with us here on Sports Talk. Don't forget the high school scoreboards coming up tonight, 10, 10:30, and 11. High school football report, a service of Farm Bureau Insurance. With new auto insurance rates from Farm Bureau, you could be saving a whole lot of money, even if you've received a quote before. Rates are now more competitive than ever. Get a free quote today from your local Farm Bureau insurance agent. Some driver outside our window on Main Street, Columbia, could use a Farm Bureau agent right now, from what I gather. Somebody lost their rear bumper out there.
No, it seemed like a case of hit and run. Somebody hit a parked car and just took off.
All right, back to the phones we go. And it is a Short Run, who is in Dallas. Short Run, what are you doing in Dallas?
I'm in Dallas, Texas, and I'm a Dallas Cowboy. Win, lose, or draw, I'm going to still wake up Monday morning a Dallas Cowboy.
I predict you wake up losing.
Hey, your team is playing closing warm-up now, ain't they?
Say that again?
I said, Ladder and Bamberg had a close game in warm-up. I can hear you out here. I got you. I got you.
That was David Shelton's opinion. That was his opinion. That's not my opinion.
Okay, then I just wish everybody good luck and y'all have a blessed and prosperous weekend.
You too, my friend. Be safe out there in Dallas. Short Run on the loose in Dallas. I'm not sure Dallas
Texas
can handle Short Run for a weekend. My goodness. All right, let's update the Sports Talk Pick'em Challenge, which, of course, is the competition within the Sports Talk family. And we are a family here, okay? Very close. We love one another. Right now, it is Matt, the newsman, just running away with things. He is 65-45, a 5-game lead on Kev Cohen and the State Man, who's doing remarkably well for somebody who really doesn't know football. K-Mac and Pro, 56-54, and yours truly 54-56. But that's about to change. 3-7 week for Pro and myself. K-Mac was 5-5. Let's see. Graham 6-4, Newsman 6-4, and Kev Cohen was 4-6. So, looking ahead to this coming weekend, and Kev Cohen has not yet gotten his picks into me, so we'll go without him. This is what we've got across the board. Everybody's taking Michigan State and the points. What are we thinking? Everybody's taking Michigan State and the points. I'm the only one taking Vanderbilt and the points at home. I might live to regret that. Tennessee and Missouri, Pro and Matt the Newsman are taking Mizzou. The rest of us, Tennessee. Arkansas across the board, except for Newsman's taking Mississippi State. LSU across the board, except for me. I'm taking Chad Kelly. Chad Kelly. I'm riding Chad Kelly some more at home in 4 points, laying 4 points. Duke and Virginia across the board. It's Duke, except for Pro, who's taking the Cavaliers. NC State across the board, except for Matt the Newsman. He's taking Syracuse. Miami across the board, except for Steak Man. He's taking Georgia Tech. We've got North Carolina across the board, except for K-Mac, who is feeling it for Frank Beamer. He's taking Virginia Tech. And Clemson, Wake Forest, just me and Pro taking Clemson and laying the points. Be right back. And back we are on Sports Talk on this Friday night. It is time for the full Monty on NASCAR. We're joined by our good friend Monty Dutton of MontyDutton.com. And we have come to championship weekend in NASCAR. Hard to believe. We are at Homestead, and we are here for the final race. And is this going to be, Monty, a coronation weekend for Jeff Gordon?
Well, I think that that's certainly a possibility. That's a great Cinderella story. Very rare to see a great athlete go out on top. But I mean, I think it should be pointed out that if the points were pushed in season long, which is a measure of someone's season long, performance, regardless of whether that is, Gordon would only be 10th in the point standings. Harvick would be first. Kyle Busch would be 20th because he missed 11 races, and Martin Truex would be 5th. So, I mean, it could happen. I hope it happens. But, you have to remember that Gordon has won one race this year, and that was one that he pretty much inherited thanks to Matt Kenseth running the bulldozer service on Joey Logano. Yeah. I mean, I really think it is an upset. I think that Harvick is the favorite. He won it last year. He won this race last year. His average finish of the season is 8.9, which is championship worthy. I think that particularly Harvick, if second place is good enough to win it, one would think Harvick would be the favorite as he has finished second 12 times this year. Jeff Gordon has finished second 0 times.
Mm-hmm.
So then I think that, if it's going to be a guy who wins the race, I think you have to look at Kyle Busch in that thing. And I mean, what you have really is 4 great stories. Jeff Gordon, one of the all-time greats, potentially going out a champion. Kevin Harvick winning back-to-back titles. Kyle Busch, who has always choked in the chase, who's had one bad chase after another. And Martin Truex, who's kind of a throwback to single-car team. It's kind of like, like the Kulwicki Championship in 1992. So I believe that all of these possibilities are quite worthwhile of writing about, and look forward to doing so.
Mm-hmm. Tell us about the Homestead track and the key ingredients to getting around that track well.
Well, Homestead is unique because the other intermediate side tracks are generally all D-shaped. Excuse me, whereas Homestead is like Atlanta used to be before they reconfigured it. It's pretty high banked. It has graduated banking. But I actually think that Homestead is a pretty interesting and decent track. But it is an intermediate track, and the racing hasn't been as good at those this year, except the ones where NASCAR took some downforce off, which will be the case next year. But I don't think Homestead's a bad track. I'm kind of glad I'm covering it from home because it's a real pain to work there.
Mm-hmm. Strategy-wise, the 4 finalists, how do you think they'll approach it? Do you think one or more will try and get ahead of the rest early and try and set a pace and try and be the guy to catch? Or do you think, they'll just try and take it easy and stay out of trouble, be around the end and try and be that guy that makes a late run to go to the lead?
My guess is that Jeff Gordon will bide his time and try to stay in position and get himself track position by some kind of pit move or changing 2 tires or whatever, and then hope there's another. My expectation is that Harvick will be near the front of the pack because Harvick's been near the front of the pack all year. I also think that Kyle Busch, if he has the car to win the championship, he'll be right there. And unlike Harvick, Kyle Busch will probably lead every lap he possibly can. And then I think that Truex is likely also to stay. I think Jeff Gordon will move up as the day goes along. I think Truex will stay in around the top 5. And I think that Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick will be the guys that, to borrow a horse racing term, or the speed horses.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to try to stay up front all day.
Of course, the confusing thing about this particular race is there's 2 leads that you have to keep an eye on. You've got to keep an eye on the leader of the race, who, if that happens not to be one of the 4 finalists, then you got to keep an eye on the leader amongst the four for the championship. Of course, most eyes will be on that race, and whoever happens to be leading the race who's not among the four, he'll be an afterthought.
Well, I suspect that it'll sort of be, like it could be, you could have Jimmy Johnson or Joey Logano run away with the race instead of, and I suspect if the race at the front is fairly moribund, then all you'll see are, the contenders. If the contenders are racing together for 9th and 10th, you're going to see a lot of that on television.
Mm-hmm.
So, but in recent years, it has often. Stewart had to win when he beat Carl Edwards in 2011, and last year Harvick had to win. So hopefully that the competition will be for the championship will also be at the front of the pack.
All right, now to the main event, Logano and Kenseth. First time back on the track since the big incident. Now, I know Kenseth is on probation, so, he really can't afford to do anything, but will Logano use this opportunity since he's out of the championship? Will he use this opportunity to get his revenge, or will he store that away for some point next season?
I think they're kind of even Steven. I think that Kenseth's retaliation was wanton and was obviously intentional. Logano showed, the situation was different, but I think my suspicion is surely to God they will not show off this weekend. But the other side of that is, this race will be rife with all sorts of maneuvers. It's just that what was unusual about the Kenseth thing was that they ran off, that it was no holes barred. I expect that they're going to be subtle actions. For instance, Jeff Gordon, the only Hendrick driver, 3 other Hendrick drivers out there.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a difference between obviously if it would be, if the other 3 Hendrick cars took out the other 3 cars with Gordon, then wouldn't that be fun? But I expect that, what you do is, I think that you have guys who sort of subtly take up a lot of space when they're in pit trying to block the guy behind them. You have guys who are extra hard to pass because they're trying to hold somebody up because they're teammates. And so, Harvick has teammates, and Gordon has teammates, and Kyle Busch has 3 teammates. And so that's one of those things that sort of looks suspicious even when it isn't. But I really think that is something that the discerning race will watch very closely.
And poor Martin Truex, he is a man without a teammate. Maybe he'll just pick up some good friends Sunday, who will help him out.
Well, if Gordon drops out, he'll be the best thing that could happen for Truex would be to become number 1 Chevrolet chance at the championship. There are 3 Chevys and 1 Toyota, and I've often thought that when Stewart was so spectacular, it was one of the reasons was that he became the top priority for Chevrolet. Well, you can't adjust that before the race. You can't do it. But I'm sure that Truex has his best equipment. He's had a really good year. He's been much more consistent than any of the others except for Harvick. And so, guys who don't have teammates, they still have friends, so
Mm-hmm.
So he's in a little bit worse spot, but it's not desperate.
Monty, as always, we appreciate it. Have a great weekend with football and racing, and we'll talk to you next week to put a bow on this season, and we'll be talking about the champion, whoever it happens to be.
Well, gift wrap it. Thanks for having me, Phil.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Monty Dutton. And, of course, you can read more from Monty on his blog, montydutton.com, MONTEDUTTON. Great stuff about racing and many other things. The full Monty on NASCAR here on Sports Talk. And Denny Hamlin is your pole winner down at Homestead, 176.655. Joey Logano second. Kyle Busch will start third. Jeff Gordon will start fifth. Martin Truex will start 11th. Back in a moment.
terrific second half by our team. Really, really proud of the way that our guys came out from halftime.
Of course, it's rivalry week. Next week, we'll be all over USC and Clemson. And whether you're a Gamecock or a Tiger, all South Carolina college football fans can agree on Founders Federal Credit Union with a convenient location on USC's campus and a Clemson office coming soon. Founders is a sure fan favorite. Visit relaxjoinfounders.com to see if you qualify for membership. Other football tomorrow. As many teams wrap up the season, South Carolina State will be at Savannah State. Furman plays at Wofford. It will be Charleston Southern, their traditional season ender, at Alabama. It's not the Iron Bowl for them. It's the Toilet Bowl in Tuscaloosa for them. Okay. Never heard that one before, Steak Man?
Brand new.
Coastal Carolina lost at Liberty last night, of course, in the final seconds. Big loss for them in terms of the postseason with a couple of losses. I don't know. I don't think it'll keep them out. It might keep them from getting a home game. We shall see on Sunday when the bids come out. Presbyterian at home to Kennesaw State. All right. Let's update basketball. USC with a 56-47 lead over DePaul with 9:11 to play. Cautionus with 19 for the Gamecocks, having a big game. Most of his points, well, not most, but a good bit coming from the line. 8 of 11, 5 of 10 from the floor. Only other Gamecock in double figures right now is Notice with 11. USC shooting 40%, DePaul shooting 39%. And so USC leading most of the way here. Gamecocks are up 56-47. Last night, Clemson ran its record to 3. Brad Brownell's team got off to a somewhat sluggish start against a Texas Southern team that played in the NCAA tournament last year, coached by Mike Davis of Indiana fame. And they sort of played Texas A&M's game in the first half, which was 3-point shooting. I'm sorry, Texas Southern, which was 3-point shooting. Texas Southern hit 7 threes in the first half. But in the second half, the Tigers came out with their minds made up to feed the ball to the post and to go to the basket. And as I mentioned earlier, their first 15 baskets in the second half were all layups or dunks. So they listened to their coach and did what he said, and it paid off in a big way. They outscored the Tigers. Both teams are Tigers. So the Clemson Tigers won the second half 45-23 and won the game 76-56. Here's Brad Brownell.
Terrific second half by our team. Really, really proud of the way that our guys came out from halftime and competed. We knew Texas Southern would really be ready. They had a little time to get ready, get their legs under them. The two kids, Riley and Thomas, are very talented players, and we couldn't guard them man to man for the most of the time that we tried to guard them. They were just 5 small guys. It was a matchup problem for us. The speed with which they ran their stuff was tough, and we kind of knew that would be a problem. Hoped that we would do a little better than we did in it, but we didn't. They made 7 threes, and we probably had a few bad possessions offensively in the first half. Took a few shots that we don't really need to take, and because of that, we found ourselves in a hole. But really rallied. Made a consistent effort to get the ball inside in the second half. Did that well. Guys made plays, finished, and then our zone helped us in the second half as well as late in the first. Well, he's been playing well, excuse me, all fall. I've been saying that he's one of our most improved players. Obviously he's only about 3 weeks off a meniscus surgery, so he's still probably not 100% to where we would like to get him. But, he's always been a good rebounder. He's always been a physical defender. He's just a guy that we've continued to work. Mike Winecki does a good job with our big guys, and we've spent a lot of time with him improving his back to the basket game. And that's, it's a credit to him because it's been a product of 2 years of labor. And, we're starting to see the results. And he had a very productive first game for us. I think he had 9 points and was 3 for 3 and 3 for 3 from the line. And then obviously he came in and gave us a big spark while Andrew got in foul trouble tonight. Yeah, we missed some shots around the rim. That happens. We also took a few bad shots or more difficult shots than we needed to. Some shots that we've taken in the other games that, when you've had leads and you've been able to kind of play a little looser, where we didn't let some things kind of, let some plays play themselves out. We kind of, rushed it. And so we had a few bad possessions, or we had some possessions that we didn't take advantage of with missed shots around the rim. I do think we missed more shots in the rim. And then, at halftime, we certainly talked about, hey, this ball's going inside. Like, whatever we got to do to get it inside, get it inside. We have a size advantage here. I only want open threes and inside baskets. And I thought our guys showed good discipline. I thought our guards showed good discipline and patience to find them, made good post feeds. And then, we found some threes out of penetration later in the possessions.
Yeah, he mentioned the first question was about the play of City Jite. He was very big off the bench in 19 minutes, had a double-double with 13 points and 11 rebounds. Both of those figures career highs. Back in a moment. Hey, other basketball tonight involving state teams. Charleston Southern going back out on the road to play Arkansas. Jacksonville State is at Winthrop, and South Carolina State is at Longwood. Let's see. Tomorrow, Furman, this is basketball, Furman will play at UConn.
Winthrop, by the way, is leading Jacksonville State 39-31. What is this with Charleston Southern? The football team is in Alabama. Basketball team
Arkansas.
is in Arkansas.
Yeah. Citadel plays at Presbyterian tomorrow. See if the Bulldogs get that running game going again, like they did the other night. South Carolina State will be at Eastern Kentucky. Okay, they're playing a tournament there in Richmond, Kentucky. So they're playing Longwood there tonight, and then Eastern Kentucky tomorrow. Bob Jones will be at USC Upstate. Piedmont will be at Coastal Carolina. College of Charleston plays at Davidson tomorrow. Maryland Eastern Shore plays at Wofford. All right, that's the basketball rundown. As for right now, it's 61-51. USC is leading DePaul. They have 7:13 to play in the game. Boy, I tell you what, the two seniors, Hakavicius last game had 27. Kaishanis, this game's got 20. They're playing lights out early on. He's the only one. I take that back. Notice has 11. But Kaishanis is the only big scorer right now. Interesting, again, second game in a row. Well, now he's playing some now. P.J. Dozier, early foul trouble. He had 2 fouls in the first half. He sat a lot. He's playing now. He's in the game. He's got 4 points on 2 of 4 from the floor. And he's also got a couple of rebounds. And, you're seeing a kid here maybe going through those growing pains, even though you're a McDonald's All-American and all of that. Frank Martin's not playing yet if you're not playing defense and if you're fouling. He has played 11 minutes tonight, which I think is more than he played the other night. He just scored again, so he's got 6 points and 2 rebounds, a couple of turnovers. So Gamecocks only with 10 turnovers in this ball game.
Yeah, I think they were single-digit turnovers the last game.
Yeah, protecting the ball well.
So when you look at Frank Martin's team, Corn, I think the stats that you look at that nobody else looks at is how many turnovers and offensive rebounding. I mean, he's a stickler for playing defense. And
they've been a terror
rebounding.
on the offensive boards. Primarily, Kaishanis has been outstanding on the offensive boards. This game, the Gamecocks have so far 13 offensive rebounds, and they are up 65-51 with 6 minutes to go. All right, now don't forget tomorrow coverage of the football games. K-Mac will be at USC. You going to USC tomorrow, Pro?
I will be incognito tomorrow. I got to do some other stuff.
Okay. Well, K-Mac will have that game covered. I'll have I'll have Clemson, Wake Forest covered for you. And you can hear all about it after the ball game on our website, sportstalksc.com, and join us on Twitter for in-game conversation at Sports Talk SC. Don't forget the scoreboard shows tonight at 10. Thank you, Staten. Have a great night. We'll see you Monday night.